Hello, my name is Salman and I'm Assistant Professor of Integrated Science and Humanities at Hampshire College.
I'm Kevin Anderson. I teach courses in film and anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, and this is Film Autopsy.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Blue and the Heartthrob.
Who's that guy?
He's yours.
Not gonna tell me?
Just took off. How are you going to take care of him?
You wanna provide for that kid? Do that using your skill set.
I can't think of another line of work that I'd rather be in.
Hurry! Get down!
Everybody who wants to live, put your hands in the air!
Tell him it's for me. I'm still his father. I can give him stuff.
This is our problem, and I'm bringing it to your attention because that's what I should do.
I wanna do two in one day.
Get up!
I'm not gonna let you bring us down. If you ride like lightning, you're gonna crash like thunder.
Hello, and welcome to a film autopsy of a new film called The Place Beyond the Pines, written and directed by Derek Cianfrance, starring Ryan Gosling, Eva Mendes, Ray Liotta, and Bradley Cooper. It is a very tense film. It takes place in Schenectady, New York, which I have learned means the place beyond the pines in the Native American language. And, well, its structure is very unique. I think the characters in it are all very strong. I like the story. And one person described it to me as essentially three different films. And I said, well, after I'd seen it, I can understand where that take is coming from, but it's really not three different films. It's a film that builds in time, and then to some extent, not exactly to a climactic conclusion, but to a sense of resolution. And it deals primarily with men and their relationships to their fathers. Of course, the women in their lives are extremely important as well, but it revolves very much around this kind of father-son relationships or the absence thereof. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting film. Visually, it's interesting. The director previously did Blue Valentine, which I really liked. And again, it was also a very intimate film about emotions, and raw emotions are really apparent here, especially in the first part. And it's hard not to talk about the story, and we don't want to give the story away, but I would say that the movie, and I do think it is in almost three different parts of three different movies, however you want to call it. And for me, it moved more in the direction that the first part was absolutely breathtaking, amazing, unexpected, where Ryan Gosling is the main character in there. And he does a phenomenal job, again, sort of like as a motorcycle stunt driver. The beginning of the film has this tracking shot where they're following him and he's going into
through the carnival on his way to
his motorcycle. What is this called? The wheel of
this
death.
is a big metal ball with three guys riding their motorcycles.
That whole sequence and then the follow-up is phenomenal. It's really good. The second one is more about sort of like the cop corruption, and Bradley Cooper and Ray Liotta is in there. And I have to say, don't mess with Ray Liotta. I mean, he's just like, he is so good.
And he's told,
and it's like, he is just, he steals every scene.
His expressions, the way he delivers his dialogue.
And talk about police corruption. He has played these roles before, but he is so good. And to a certain degree, that segment is also very interesting, and partly because of Ray Liotta. I think he really is the life of it. But I have to say,
and death of it.
and I have to say, the last segment, I absolutely hated it. In fact, I would say that the movie would have been better off had they left it in the first or the second component. The third part deals with sort of like the next generation.
Which is kind of important, I think, related to, in order to address some of the themes that he's bringing up about absent fathers, about growing up in a kind of post-industrial town in upstate New York where there's not a lot of opportunity.
Well, I'm not saying that, to leave it. What I mean to say is that they could do a better job at it.
So go back and redirect that.
If you want to do it, then do it well. But the problem is that the whole wonderful dialogue, which is especially in the first part and to a certain degree in the second part that is there, also the unexpectedness, it all goes away. It becomes such a predictable trope with bad acting and bad dialogue, which was just like okay, you could see where things were going from a mile away, and that was really disappointing.
I thought Bradley. We don't want to give too much away.
No.
Bradley Cooper's son gave a rather weak and predictable performance. The other young
That's
gentleman
true.
who we had seen earlier in Lawless plays this really great character who makes all the moonshine. He does a good job. So again, we can't give too much away. I mean, do you recommend it? Do you think it's going to get some awards? I think Bradley Cooper is going to be recognized. I think Ryan Gosling most definitely should be recognized, and Derek Cianfrance.
Well, there is a different thing. Do I recommend it? Yes, absolutely, because it's a very ambitious film, and it's a really, I mean, it's an interesting effort. I just think, and I think there were 3 screenwriters for this film or something like that. To me, it seems like there was
That's right.
either
There
a
were multiple
mismatch or
screenwriters.
this was one of those cases where the studio didn't like the darker aspects in the first part. But the last segment just became, I mean, again, overall, considering the kind of movies that are playing out, like, it's a much more interesting
oh my gosh,
film.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it becomes much more conventional in the last part compared to the first 2, and I loved the first 2 parts, especially the first one. I mean, that was unconventional, that was interesting, but I'm just disappointed towards the end.
Okay, so can we end on what is The Place Beyond the Pines? What is that? Because 3 times a character or different characters at the camera goes to the place beyond the pines, and it seems to be a transitional kind of liminal state to me between like animalistic and humanistic, between the wild and civilization, and important things happen in those scenes.
Or do you ever get to that? Or it's the unattainable, or it's something that you
Yeah.
never get to it. Because yes, I mean, they always show those scenes where you are kind of going,
Yeah.
but do you get there? But that's an interesting component about, like, the humanistic or animalistic, because it's also, you can see that road in between nature in
Yeah.
some sense, and with the Native American connection in there, I mean, perhaps it is playing on that. So yeah, I mean, very interesting
Go to the
film.
place beyond the pines.
Go to the place beyond the pine, see it, but I mean, walk out after 2 parts. I would say just walk out. It's a long movie. After 2 hours, just say, I've had enough. Like, it's like AI. Last 20 minutes were
Well, this
useless.
is interesting
like,
because we're going to be reviewing some other films this afternoon, and Too Long is basically my review of some of them. We'll get to that.
All my love to you.